And most surprisingly, and I think this is for the first time too, because I've never seen this anywhere else, you can get a 20% off discount when you buy from retail. So there's this ad for the Star Wars collectibles, Star Wars vehicles that said 200 new signups will get 20% off their first purchase from the store.
Really?
Yes. Have you ever heard about it?
No, not with VeVe.
Yeah, that would be it, right? So that's pretty cool. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the VeVe Vantage Podcast. Today we'll be talking about a brand new marketing strategy that VeVe is doing for the first time, how two collectors are stacking almost 500 Yoda Lightsabers and almost 400 007 Valdo's case, respectively, MisterV's strategy for the Disney animation pencils, why you should be careful with the VeVe market coming into the end of 2023, and last but not least, we are going to New York Comic Con. Great news. So we'll tell you a couple of tips and tricks that might save you a couple $100. Let's get to it. All right, MisterV, let's talk about the pencils.
The wonderful pencils from Disney. So we have 5 that are to be used for crafting at some point, probably by the end of October through the end of December of this year, 2023. We have 4 of them released already. The floors are relatively low. I think 3 of them are under 20 gems, and the most scarce one, I believe, is the one from Wreck-It Ralph,
Mm.
is around 40 gems. And I just did this today, actually. I got all 4 for about just over 90 gems. And and then tomorrow, which is what, September 22nd, we have the Aladdin drop coming out.
Right.
And let's say if I got that, then basically it's a free collectible, right? For part of the crafting. Then I would pretty much get it for under 100 gems. If I decide to keep the collectible and don't
Mm.
sell it at a loss or whatever, we're just assuming that like the floors go below retail in the market. So in all, if I get the drop tomorrow, I think I would be able to craft the desk, Disney Animator's desk, for under 100 gems. And the reason why I decided to buy now is because I think in anticipation of tomorrow's drop, people needed gems. And I just kind of took advantage of that opportunity to kind of have a pretty low entry point. But I think that maybe in the hours leading up to the drop, the floor will be lower, probably. And maybe even the time between the drop and when the Aladdin pencil is airdropped the week after a week or two after Comic-Con in New York, it's very likely that the floors will be even lower than that because of maybe some upcoming big drops.
Mm. So it usually takes them like a couple weeks to airdrop the pencil.
Yeah, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks from what I've noticed.
Oh, okay. And then so you got 4 of them for 90 something gems, right?
Right,
And
right.
then your goal is hopefully, and so the number of pencils available will be determined by the number of people who are minting these NFTs from retail, essentially.
Correct. Yeah. And as of right now, we had the Wreck-It Ralph drop, the Frozen drop. We've also had Tinkerbell and Lion King. Out of
Mm.
those 4 drops where there's an air pencil that's airdropped, the only one that has not sold out is the Tinkerbell one. And I think there's an agreement across the board with everyone. It's because there's 3 rarities of one character, and that's probably not favorable.
Right. And so at the moment, the Wreck-It Ralph is the most expensive pencil simply because that drop has the least editions available. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay.
To be honest, I haven't checked, but that that definitely was the targeted piece in that set among stackers. And maybe you've noticed too, but I know I sure did notice that there were several people who stacked 10,
Oh
20,
yeah, I saw that.
40, 50 even. And if and it's kind of like the Hulk collectibles. There's 4 rarities in order to qualify for the airdrop whenever that does happen.
Oh, I see. So people want to play like the blocking game, like if you want to craft a table, um, and there are 5 pencils needed, then you want to hold a majority of maybe a pretty scarce pencil, just so that when people want to craft a table, then they would need to buy from you, like essentially.
Right, right. And I could see that kind of going either way. Like I think we've seen it both ways. No, actually, I take that back. I think we have yet to see an airdrop be over floor for long enough, because so far we've had to just recently we had the Thanos airdrops, and if you use the Infinity Stones, which were the floors went sky high for like a lot of those. But one of the most recent airdrops that we had was with the gauntlets for Marvel, where if you crafted the empty gauntlet, you would have to use the like 5 Infinity Stones, I believe, and then like the cumulative floor for using all of the stones was like several hundred gems worth. And then if you use the most rare of the, what was it, the Eye of Agamotto, that shot up to like 700 and like way up there. It went really high. So then by the time you crafted that and you got the airdrops for either 1 Thanos or 2 Thanos collectibles, those floors, as soon as they started listing on the market got pretty saturated and the prices started to dip pretty drastically. And then maybe a couple weeks afterwards, I think, or let's say a couple months afterwards, the least rare Thanos collectible was probably like 40 gems. And then
wow.
Right now, the secret rare one is just over 300 gems. And then like again, the floors were all way higher, like just way higher. So I don't think that's going to be sustainable. Like whatever the price is that we pay for crafting these collectibles
Yeah,
will
100%.
be necessarily worth it. If you can wait a little while, that'd be great. And then if you're a collector of particular edition numbers, then probably save those gems and use those funds to be able to hunt the edition numbers that you actually want, whether it be an FA year or a repeating digit or what have you.
Yeah. So basically the money that you pay to craft the gauntlet is way more than what the gauntlet is going for. Oh, sorry, Thanos.
Right. Like so like everything dipped. Like after the crafting period was over, the window after that window was closed. The Infinity Stones, all of them dipped drastically, and then also the airdropped collectibles all dropped drastically. There's nothing safe in this market, and like even today, even though they're not airdropped collectibles or collectibles for crafting, but I saw secret rare Spidey's under 5,000 gems right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Secret rare Miles Morales collectible. I think I saw 3 collectibles under 10,000 gems. So, people are in a pinch for some gems, and I'm not necessarily sure what the reasons are for those people who have the collectibles listed on the market, but everything's dipping. Also, Todd's are in the 500s now.
Yeah, up to 500, close to 600.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so yesterday I saw Secret Rare Look at 1,000, but I'm not sure if you saw how yesterday standoff chart in our VeVe Army Discord group, he brought up that somebody listed Look SR Mint 44, so double digit 44 at 1.2K on the market. Did you see that? I just thought that person might have spotted a different mint and he wanted to get it right away. So that's why he listed it for for such a low number, but definitely didn't look like 12 gems or 1.2 gems or those kind of like typical mistake. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's scary. It's scary.
and so that was yeah, I saw everything that happened. Like there was stand up chart who helped you to get your Iron Man, brought it up, and Gravy got it within like 15 minutes. So that was pretty wild. And hey guys, just a quick message. Every week I, MisterV, work over 20 hours to bring you the most non-BS VeVe content. English is my second language, and there were nights we recorded until 1 a.m. My brain stopped processing, and I naturally spoke Vietnamese to him, and it got pretty weird. But that's just how dedicated we are to this podcast. In return, we ask you to enter a gentleman agreement. We will continue working into 1 a.m. for you, but we ask you to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a rating, and tweet at us to tell us what you think, because those comments will ultimately help us to refine the content just for you. That's it. That's all you need to do. Let's get back to it. So over the past few days, there's been some talks about this guy, Extreme Vendor, who bought up the floor of the Yoda Darth Vader. I think now he has like 470 lightsabers, Yoda lightsabers, which is pretty wild. But I think there's like maybe 18,000 editions. So that sounds to be like a couple percentage of the total supply.
You said 480?
No, I said 18,000.
No, but like how many does the guy have?
470, I think.
470?
So
Okay.
maybe 3%.
Yeah, that's and there's 19,800 of the Yoda lightsabers, because I think the FA year is 1980. I may be
Okay.
wrong, but that amounts to just under 2.4% of the supply.
Yeah, something like that. That was pretty wild.
That's it's always exciting to see it, and I'll be honest, I've tried to do something like that before, where I'm just like on a buying spree. This is like months, if not like months ago, or maybe a year plus. But I've tried to do that with a few different collectibles. I did that with the Voltron. Yeah, like I mean, among the first things I did that with was the Voltron commons, because at the time I thought the edition size was among the lowest and pretty liquid, but I soon realized that there was not much of a demand for that collectible, and I had like 100 plus of that. And like anytime I was stacking something aggressively, I always shot for at least 1% of the supply. And I did that with the Voltron commons. I did that with the band leader Mickey commons as well. I got up to like something crazy like 333 of those. And I did that with the Oswalds as well, with the rare animated ones. And yeah, like every single time I would have the floor shoot up as I'm like sweeping, but then there's always people who are short on gems, and they just go ahead and relist those items as soon as they realize somebody's buying. And then the floor dips all the way back down, if not further than where it was before you start buying. So I just don't see any worthwhile effort to do that sort of action when you can buy supply up really slowly without other people kind of being like, without the market making so much noise. Because as soon as that was happening, like there's a bunch of people on the feed, maybe on Twitter, X,
on Facebook as well.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot of talk on Facebook.
It's cool.
People thought that there was going to be some major news, and a small group of people knew something, but then that guy came out and said, I bought all of them. So I thought that was pretty funny, but I hope the best of luck for him. And somebody on Facebook commented and said how he has 397 Valdo's case, which is the 007 NFT Valdo's case. Yeah, so that was, man, I hope that it will, bring some good returns for him, but that is a huge stack, and that is a pretty interesting play for sure.
When we have too much time, we're speculating on speculations, and I think that our minds go down the rabbit hole pretty deep. And I mean, we could just think of so many different ways that these things could be used or crafted or what have you. And it's it's a dangerous game because
It is an interesting game. And let me tell you one example. This is related to the 007 IP on VeVe. Do you remember the early 007 posters? There
oh
was
my
this poster with it's like this movie poster with a circle and then a bullet hole in the
yes,
middle. I think it was the ultra rare or rare or something like that. And there was a lot of speculations back then because I believe it was in one of the very first collection of 007 on VeVe, and it came out around the same time as the movie, so there was a lot of hype around it. And this is a huge mistake that I would not want to make again, which is I saw this person, and this is all my mistake. Like I speculated the wrong thing. I saw this person mention how, just speculating how they might animate the poster and turn it into the classic 007 trailer. So you know how there's like a circle, the white circle, and then the bullet hole, and then in the original 007 trailer, they would like the camera would zoom out from that and then pan to the left or the right, and then there would be several circle, and then you would see James Bond walking. So there was that speculation of that static poster being turned into an animated or like a real trailer. And I bought into that speculation of just one person. And I remember the poster for that particular one went up to like maybe around 200 to 400, somewhere around that range. It was very high. And keep in mind, like back then it was still 2021, like the prices were high and there were not that many drops compared to how much we have now. So I bought two of them, and I think I spent like 700 in total, and it was pretty dumb. Nothing happened, and that's why I kind of lost trust in the 007 IP on VeVe. I think that they just want to advertise the movie, and it's not like they are like the diamond or golden sponsor or like partner of VeVe. Like there are certain IPs that will invest a whole lot and they will dedicate time, money, and resources to potentially animate or gamify their collectibles on VeVe. For example, Disney or Marvel, things like that, right? Or certain artists. But I don't think 007 is gonna be that that dedicated IP that will bring all of these extra benefits or animations or anything like that or upgrades to their collectibles on VeVe.
yeah. Not that there's not to add any weight to it or anything, and it's not my intention to.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember within the past few years that didn't Amazon win the buyout for MGM Studios films?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I think maybe Netflix had been showing films from MGM Studios, but and then there was like this bidding war over different films and the rights to be able to stream certain things. So you had like Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, and like all those other
I know
companies.
that these IPs or these movies change platforms all the time because I love The Office, and in the past it was on Netflix. Now it's on Peacock. But yeah, go on.
So to what you were speaking about with the prices for the 007 memorabilia, like
Mm,
posters and and all those things. I think because Amazon had bought the rights to be able to stream MGM Studios films, I think people were trying to tie those two together and
mm,
say, oh, because MGM Studios is 007 collectibles are on VeVe, that means we have Amazon. And then
mm.
that's where I think that's what got the ball rolling
Yeah.
with trying to connect the dots, and people were buying and FOMOing in
there was a lot of weird speculation, like maybe it was the what is that Japanese IP, that Ultraman.
Yeah.
There was like I thought somebody was saying like Ultraman is a part of Marvel or something like that, or like Ultraman and Spider-Man appear on the same poster movie, therefore XYZ. But yeah, it was a very weird time. I remember the Labbits, that
Yeah, they were
rabbit
talking about
that
they were
that
talking about breeding them in the VeVe verse, and
not
people were
like
like,
not even breeding them, but like the Labbits, when that came out, it shot up to 700. I remember landing it on a drop,
mhm.
and I was an idiot not to sell it. Yeah, but it was a pretty weird time. Not a whole lot of supply, and everything was so brand new. Like that was the introduction of these major IPs. So there was not that like that circle was pretty small, and then all the hype around NFTs as well. Um, yeah, that got people hooked in it
Well,
and speculated, myself included.
and adding to that, around that same time, there was all this talk of having the independent artist pieces
Oh yeah,
being interoperable, and so people were just buying up the supply for all of those things, including myself. Like I was just like I went really heavy into it, and then as time went on, and there wasn't much more to it, and we didn't really get that. People started to floor it, and then the
yeah,
floor dipped really hard, and people were just like, "What is this?" And so um, people were kind of bag holding, and maybe it just left a bitter taste in some people's mouths. And that's kind of like when the market activity the trend started to shift, downwards, and people were like trying to consolidate into the bigger key pieces for different IPs and what have you.
yeah. I think that was a weird time when we romanticized everything that was going on. But what I've learned from that is to be very practical. Like nowadays, I'm not spending gems on most drops, and I'm not buying much from the market either. Like I haven't bought anything for a while. And if I were to buy something, then it should be something that will have that credibility, and that I will, that will help me to sleep well at night. For example, like if I were to have gems now, maybe like 2,000 gems, then I would just look at like the solid, like the Bitcoin or Ethereum of VeVe. For example, like Partner Statue or Todd or Luke SR, or if I have a little bit more, then it's going to be like the Secret Rare Spider-Man, things like that, and not buy on speculations anymore.
Yeah. For me, I've been buying a lot of gems. Like this past month was probably the most in a short amount of period of time that I've bought. And, between now and the end of the year, I think I'm going to keep doing the same. My approach, I feel like those big pieces that you're referring to
Mhm.
are still kind of out of my reach. So as new drops come out with bigger characters that I like, I'm just trying to get one of each edition. Excuse me, one of each first appearance that I
Mhm.
like, and
Right.
then still just trying to buy. And then this is kind of like my MO, where I'm just buying at least one edition number that I like, and then move on, because I still kind of think that we're gonna see a decline in the market, not because of VeVe per se, but more of the macro conditions and like all the things that we have at play. It's just overwhelming. It's just way too overwhelming. Plus, and I think people should be mindful of this sort of thing. But as the year comes to a close,
Yes.
people will want to what's it called? Tax harvest or tax loss. Oh, well,
Tax loss harvesting, or something like, yeah.
yeah, where if you sell the collectibles at a loss, then you can claim that as a loss when you're filing your taxes. And keep in mind, I think we have a limit as to how much we can claim, and that amount I believe is 3,500 per year. So say for example, if I sold at a loss 5,000 because we're in the States here. I'm using dollars. I claim $5,000, or I lose. I realize losses in the amount of $5,000, and I'm filing my taxes. The most I can claim is 3,500. However, the remaining 1,500 that I did not claim as a loss will roll over into the following year. So then next year, when I do file the following tax season, when I do file my taxes, I can claim another 1,500 in losses, or based on my capital gains or losses, adjust those numbers. And I think I mentioned this in several podcasts ago, but when I had used Robinhood, the app for stocks, I lost over 7K in like a matter of a week because of the whole like Reddit thing, and I was new to it. So I was able to file losses for 3,500 from that year, plus another 3,500 the following year, and then a couple hundred the year after that. So anytime you have losses over $3,500, you cannot claim more than that amount, and it rolls over into the following years. So while we're talking about the end of the year approaching, we have people who want to do tax loss harvesting. Also, what we could consider, and you could always buy back those collectibles at the start of the year, and then you have something, and then you can kind of benefit from that, right? Of course, you have to pay the 8.5% fees, but talk to your accountant and see what makes sense. All right, that's one thing. The other two things that we need to consider are the fact that we're approaching the holiday seasons.
Yes.
Because we have, what is it? Depending on what holidays you celebrate, there's several of them coming up, and including Thanksgiving and maybe Christmas or Hanukkah. All those things involve celebrations, traveling, gifts, and a lot of expenses.
And also, VeVe usually have a whole lot of drops in December, because I remember the past 2 years, they've always had like drops every single day from the week maybe prior to Christmas to New Year. So that whole week, December, people will need a lot of gems if they want to go for these drops, right? And then, in about 3 weeks, we're going to have New York Comic-Con. There's going to be some fire drops there as well. So I do agree with you. I agree that I think that Comic-Con, tax loss harvesting, and also a whole bunch of supposedly very good drops happening in December will make people consider dropping things on the floor, just so that they can have the liquidity to play the game, simply because the economy is not getting a whole lot better. There's not a whole lot of opportunities to make money within this bear VeVe market. Yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot more dipping going to the end of the year.
Yeah, so tread carefully if you're buying anything. Just tread carefully.
Yeah. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that in the last episode, we dissected VeVe's Facebook, Instagram ad campaign, and how I mentioned that last week we only had 11 ads running, and the majority of them were for the Star Wars drop, and that was because they wanted to promote the the Darth Vader's shuttle, and what was the other one? I can't remember the name. Drop, and they also wanted to promote another Star Wars drop that did not sell out, but would drop back in May. So what I found right before we started the recording was that now they have around 23 ads running. I think I saw a higher number maybe a couple hours ago, but as of this moment, they have 23 ads running. And after the last episode, I wrote a very long thread of how VeVe should utilize or should promote the other IPs that will be well known globally, but have not sold out either. For example, Lamborghini, Tinkerbell, and something else. What did I use? Hold on one second. Let me pull it up just so that I have it. Right. So I talked about how they should promote the Cookie Monster drop, the Lamborghini Murcielago drop, and the Tinkerbell drops because they are very well-known IPs. They're not sold out. So promote those in addition to the Star Wars collectibles. And voila, like a couple hours ago, when I looked at their ad results, they now have 29 ads running. I think I saw 42 earlier, but among the Star Wars drop, they now have Lamborghini. They now have Kung Fu Panda ads, Alice Disneyland poster ad. For the first time ever, I'm seeing comic books ads as well. And this is and the Little Prince. And most surprisingly, and I think this is for the first time too, because I've never seen this anywhere else, you can get a 20% off discount when you buy from retail. So there's this ad for the Star Wars collectibles, Star Wars vehicles, that said that 200 new signups will get 20% off their first purchase from the store.
Really?
Yes, which is yeah. Have you ever heard about it?
No, not with VeVe.
Yeah, no, with VeVe, right? So that's pretty cool. Like people get 20% off to sign up. First time I've ever seen that. Yeah, so they're definitely doing a lot of marketing on Facebook at least to get people to sign up for previous drops, and they're using the IPs that I'm happy with. Lamborghini, I bet you a lot of people will be curious about Lamborghini. Kung Fu Panda is a very well-known name, especially in the Asian market. And that 20% off, I think people will be very intrigued too, because one of the barriers to buy directly from the store is that you buy something from the store for 50 gems, and you go on the market and you see people selling for like 40 or 45 gems, right? But now you have that 20% off. You are a little bit more incentivized to take that leap of faith and just try something out.
Yeah, I think part of that too is just making sure, well, to tie into what you were saying, making sure that like whatever collectible that the people are buying at 20% discount, the floors are above retail, right? Or at retail at least.
Yeah.
To make it, there's no real incentive for people to use that 20% off if the floor is 30% off.
So let me clarify, the 20% off will be for the Star Wars ATST digital collectible. So this is one of the two Star Wars vehicle that just came out. Okay. So this is just for one collection only.
Okay. Maybe that collectible is at or close to floor.
Yeah. I think that it is a good thing that they are running so many ads, because this is my first time seeing this many, and for each of these ads there are multiple variations. So for example, like the Little Prince ad, there are two variations. So they are testing the text, the photo creative, and and maybe the demographic as well. So that is a pretty good thing leading to New York Comic Con, because that's going to be an event that will attract so many people, in which both of us are going. So that's pretty exciting.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Speaking of New York Comic Con, what do you have on your agenda? What are you hoping to experience or get involved with?
Okay, so I spent a couple days planning out for this trip, and the biggest reason is the tickets themselves are very expensive. Like the 4 days ticket is like $600, and I think there's going to be some fees added as well. So I think it's going to be maybe $600 to $700 for the 4 days, and I don't want to go for 4 days. So what I'm doing now is I found out that the tickets for Thursday and Sunday are not sold out. They're still at retail, like $75. So I'm going on Thursday, and I'm heading back home on Saturday. So my goal is to get to Comic-Con on Thursday, spend a whole day there, go to the VeVe party on Thursday evening and Friday evening. So those 3 events, and hopefully I can meet up with you and some of the folks in the VeVe community, and especially the Discord group. It's gonna be even better if I can meet up with David and Dan, because I've never talked to them in real life before. So that's the plan.
Nice. I have a younger brother who lived there for close to a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had my fair share of experiences in Manhattan and thereabouts. And while you're there, definitely make sure that you walk as much as possible to get your bearings. It's very confusing if you've never been. And like, say if you hop in a taxi, you don't mention like a specific address. It doesn't work like that. You give them intersections.
I actually have been to the city a couple times, like the Manhattan and Brooklyn and even Long Island too. So I'm fairly familiar with the area, but I get what you're saying. Like taking a subway can be pretty complicated, because if you look at the sign and you make the wrong decision, you can end up in like the Bronx, or like if you want to go downtown, you can maybe end up in Uptown and pretty, an hour away from where you want to go. So it's pretty tricky to get around.
Yeah, things can get pretty intimidating, like until you figure out how to navigate through that area. The food, the diversity of food and social experiences that you could have is awesome.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone there. So while I'm there, I'm definitely gonna make sure I hit up a couple different coffee shops, get some good food, to set the tone right, especially in the morning. Like if I don't have a good breakfast, I'm pretty groggy, and I have to have coffee, like coffee all day for me. And it's not like it wakes me up or anything, but
there's a couple coffee shops because I usually go to Brooklyn when I'm in the city. There's a couple nice ones there, like nice in terms of it being chill and like having good food. But let me ask you, so what I found is that the tickets, because I've been thinking a lot about the tickets. That's why I only decided to go on Thursday. So the tickets are apparently very expensive. Like tickets for just Friday or just Saturday itself is like $200.
Yeah,
which is pretty wild. So what are you planning to do?
I'm still undecided. I'm still undecided because one, cost, and also two, responsibilities at home. It's I don't want to kind of leave my wife and kids alone, so I have to make sure that I leave them with some extra help at home. So we'll see. That's to be determined. At the very least, I want to be there on Thursday and Friday. We'll see about Saturday and Sunday.
I think that's a good combo, because you're there on opening day, which I will be there as well. So there's going to be a lot of good energy because people are always excited, first day. And Friday is it's going to be more fun because it's going to be pretty crowded. And then you're not spending too much money either, like you're spending, closer to $300 instead of, $600 to $700 for the 4 days. And then you can still go back, to your family or whatever on Saturday, and still go to the two parties. The two VeVe parties.
I think when did I learn this? I think not long after college, I realized that too much free time can be an extremely expensive thing.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, like, I mean, just because I've never been to a Comic-Con, I've never been to D-Con or anything like that. I don't know.
I have never been to anything either, and I watched a couple of videos, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be different. I think it's going to be a lot more different than anything that I've ever been to. Just because the way people are dressing up, and there's so many, fandom there. That's going to be pretty cool. And also, I think if people were planning to go, then they should look at hotels as soon as possible, because hotels for that weekend, especially like during a big event like New York Comic Con, and also during the weekend too, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, hotels are so expensive. Like at the moment, I think the cheapest room is like $180. So if you are, let's just say 200, tax included and whatever. So if you're there for 4 days, that's like $1,000 just for the hotel itself. The only reason why I'm going is mostly because the ticket for Thursday is still available. I can get it. I got it for like $78, and I found a place to sleep for those nights. So that's why that's like the main reason why I'm going. Otherwise, it would have cost me maybe like $1,200 with hotels and all those kind of things, especially for that weekend, because this is like, it's going to be super crowded. New York is expensive, especially around that area, and also it's going to be the weekend too. So if to those who are listening, if you're planning to go, plan early and plan carefully. And I think you mentioned that you would also look at, so if you were to go and look for a hotel, you would also look at those in New Jersey across the river too, right?
Yeah, there's a beautiful area called Hoboken. I'm a big fan of that little part, and you could take, I forget what it's called. It's either the subway or the metro, or they call it something. They call it something different. Everywhere you go, like whether it's here,
Yeah.
in the States or in Europe. So, anyways, yeah, it's not that far. It's a beautiful area, and I'd strongly recommend it. Like, yes, Manhattan's awesome, but the surrounding areas are pretty cool too.
Yeah. And there's, I think, looking at Manhattan from Hoboken is going to be very nice because you see the whole skyline. And I checked earlier, and it's only like half an hour on a subway or a bus to get to Javits Center, which is where the Comic Con is going to take place. So if you're going, you don't have to look at Times Square or Manhattan. You can look at Brooklyn. You can look at New Jersey, just across the river. There's a lot of options, because hotels for 4 nights is gonna cost you like at least $800. So that's gonna be a lot of money.
Yeah. Also, word to the wise, I made this mistake on St. Patrick's Day, like, oh my gosh, like 15 years ago. If you're in Jersey and you want to take a taxi to New York, don't plan on making it past the tunnel, because like they'll drop you off right at the start, like right where the tunnel ends once you get into New York. So don't plan
Oh,
on,
because they
it's
don't
out of
have the
jurisdiction.
they don't have, what's it called, like some sort of license to operate in the city, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I learned that the hard way. I got dropped off and I was furious, and
The medallion, taxi medallion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it being St. Patrick's Day, there's some things that happened. So, so just make sure that you're aware of best, like plan ahead. Just plan your modes of transportation, where you're staying, and then make sure that you make yourself available for the rest of the day. Just allow yourself to float wherever the people that you surround yourself with take you. Because imagine, like, you might be at Comic-Con, but like you have to eat. You might want to go
Yeah.
out for a drink or something. So I guess just don't get too married with the idea of being inside the Javits Center all day.
Yeah. And my plan is to do some like video blogging and document the trip too, so I can share it with more people. So that's a plan. So hopefully we can meet up there and hang out with some folks.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So the last topic that I want to talk about, and this is gonna be pretty brief, which is in our last episode, what's his name? Omi Daily Burn. He watched it and he commented on it, and he was saying like he really enjoyed the episode, and he wished he could answer the things that we were curious about. Like we were talking about the you were talking about Naked Whale's idea of mint number and edition number, and apparently Omi Daily Burns knows the programming languages, and he's familiar with IMX to be able to pull that data. So right after he commented, I reached out to him and I was like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? So that's what I'm gonna try to learn from him, which I'm pretty grateful for, so I can pull these data points. Because after the episode, I did some digging, and you know how I share with you that I basically confirmed your theory of like, I found two Lamborghinis, edition 765 and edition 52. And like I shared with you on Discord, the edition 52, even though it is a much lower edition, double digit, is minted after the 765, which is very interesting. So I'm not disregarding the importance of first public mints and double digit mints and those kind of things, but it is a very interesting angle of collecting that we're talking about. And so I talked to him, and he mentioned how he's been working with Omi the Clown and Rootless Girl on this new site. Let me pull up the name. Do you know the site that I'm referring to? I think you mentioned it like a while ago.
I mentioned it a while ago, but I think they just started to.
Oh, they just started. Yeah. So the
promote
site is called
Mintalysis.
Mintalysis. So what's really cool is they use AI to translate the video, well, like lip sync the video of Corey, speaking in Spanish.
Para este video de análisis, siempre emocionante ver personajes icónicos y queridos en VeVe. Esto va a ser
in Chinese.
这就是这个解析视频的结束。看到标志性和珍贵的角色登上 VeVe 总是令人兴奋的。
And
that threw me in for a loop. I was like, how are you speaking so fluently?
Yeah, it looks super real, and they also translated over 500 articles to different languages to help VeVe with their international effort, which is very, very cool, because that video that they lip sync Corey looks so real. Like, I thought he was speaking Spanish for the first couple seconds. So shout out to Omi Daily Burn, Omi the Cloud, and Rootless Girl for this wonderful effort.
Yeah, and also like for anyone who's experiencing some sort of learning disability, like there was, and like having worked in public schools and private schools, dealing with students with different needs, that is huge. That is huge. Like there's a lot of people who may not realize that they need these sort of adaptations and accommodations for being able to access this kind of information. So that's even, I mean, like, what a thoughtful process that they've drawn out, and the services that they're going to be providing is going to just help the community even just that much more.
Did you see like the amount of effort that they put in to make it accessible, to make the site accessible? There's going to be like screen reader, and you can change the color of the site and so many other things. Don't
miss the premiere of Billy and Tommy in Vision and the Scarlet Witch #12, airing exclusively on VeVe. Tune in on Thursday, the 6th of April, 2000.
So this is going to be very accommodating to people with different conditions, people from different countries speaking different languages, which is very cool.
Yeah, it's some wild stuff, but what else can you say? It's much needed.
Yeah. And also it looks like they will have a lot of information on like the pricing, maybe historical pricing on certain collectibles, and maybe some information on the mints too. So hopefully we can look at that and, figure out something cool.
Yeah. I hope so. I was talking with somebody else in the community about trying to access the public
API.
Yeah, the public API for Immutable X. and they advised that like I start looking into coding and using Python as a launching pad. And so I'm going to be spending some time trying to learn a little bit about that, because when I was in high school, I used to actually, since I was in like elementary school, I used to build computers. And by the time I got into high school, I was working on Java programming because they just moved on from C++, but I never used it after high school, and I'm out of practice. So I think it's amazing, like the opportunities for using these different skills that you never thought you'd use pop up years later.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to experimenting with coding again, even though I'm nowhere near as good as a lot of people.
I know some basic Python, so we can collaborate on that. I think out of all the programming languages, Python is probably one of the easiest. It's very human readable, and it's very beginners friendly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
That is it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed the episode today. And if you have, remember that gentleman agreement. We will continue working until 1 a.m. just for you. But in return, we ask you to subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss out on the actionable and valuable insights, everything VeVe and Omi related. Don't forget to give us a rating and tweet at us to let us know what you think about the podcast so that we can refine the content better just for you. Thank you so much. We hope to see you again next time. Peace.